John Shell, Corvette Power Top Service, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Welcome to this little mini seminar too on restoring some switches. What I have here, and your 57 to 62 Corvettes had two switches that are like these. You had the one with 4 terminals on it that was above your over by your glove box button, okay? And your main wiring harness actually started right here at this switch, okay? 4 terminals. And then we had the one in the trunk with 2 terminals basically, an on and off switch, okay? These buttons here, I'll show you the internal parts of them here in a few minutes, but these buttons here are different on each one, and I'll show you hopefully the difference. I think I got one here close. But as you can see here, what I have done is I have soldered these joints right here. This culprit right here, this switch by the glove box button, has caused more problems in this power top unit working. And what has happened is these little terminals have become loose down through the years, or corrosion has gotten underneath them, and without a good connection, okay, we're not going to get good electricity or amperage flowing through them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a switch apart here, and we're going to solder the joints, and I'm going to show you the internal works of this and how to carefully take it apart. Yes, I have broken some of these tabs before. There's 4 tabs that hold this on, and I have broken those before because maybe they've been weak or whatever. But we're going to attempt here to take one apart. Now this switch right here is broke off. It's been bent up, but this down here is very nice. You can see somebody has already bead blasted it. And I'm going to take a small pair of side cutters, and I'm going to bring these little tabs back gently. It takes just a little bit of patience, and I have found out that this is the best way for me to do it, is just to pry them back a little bit. And we're going to get this off of here. And it's got a spring underneath it. But we're going to take that off, and as you can see, we've got 4 little ears there that are running up and down on that post. We've got an insulator here. Let me get that off there. These sometimes can be brittle, so just be very careful with it. I've not found any supply to... Let me get a razor blade here. I've not found any supply. I expect a guy could make these or whatever. If you broke one, I don't have any extra ones, but what this does is this insulates that against your rivets there, okay? So we got this part here, we've got the insulator, and then we've got the spring here, okay? And then we've got this post, and it is broken off. Now, let me move over here a minute, Chris. I think I've got a better one right here. Yes, I do. You can see that this one has 4 contacts on it, okay? 4 contacts. Your trunk lid switch with 2 posts, this is reversed up into here with just 2 contacts. So the one for by the deck lid has 4, okay, down at the bottom. The one for the trunk switch, and I don't have one handy, the contacts would be up in here, okay? On this switch in the trunk area, I have found that since the trunk has went up and down probably more than the deck lid itself, it has wore a groove. It has wore a groove in this brass right here, okay? So what I do is I actually clean it off, fill it up with some solder, file it clean, and it's ready to go again. So these right here,
you can use a Scotch-Brite cloth or a wire brush or anything to basically clean them up, you know, and get them get the corrosion off. These right here seem to be very good. I don't see any deep grooves in them or anything, okay? So we're going to leave this alone, and we're going to come back to this guy right here. And we're going to solder these joints here. I'm going to hook up my nifty little vice grips, okay? And we're going to put that in the vise. And going to put a little bit of flux on it. I get this at the hobby shop. I know you can buy solder with it already in there, but for some reason, yeah, I'm just going to do it like this. This is the way I've been doing it. Maybe setting my way there, I don't know, but we're going to put just a little bit of flux on that, and then get my soldering gun. And I also bought this at a hobby shop. Pretty fine solder, you know, not real huge because I don't need. But the whole thing about this thing is to solder this and overlap it down into here on the little prong that goes down, okay? We're going to overlap it and we're going to get it on that edge. That way I know I'm getting a good connection. So let's start right here. And forgive me if I'm not the best solder person, but I get the job done. That's the main thing, you know. Okay. So I've got it over the edge there. Now I'm going to just go to the next one here. This is, to me, this is very important doing this because of the problems that this has had. And we got that one lapped over the edge. I always make sure that these little terminals are straight before I do this too, because this really makes them good and solid. And so I always make sure that I've got these terminals straight, because sometimes they will wobble around. So it looks like I've got that done, and I'm going to spray just a little bit of water on it here to cool it off, okay? Then I'm going to take my wire brush and just kind of work that in there a little bit, and to make sure I got that overlapped down in there the best as possible, and check it out with a magnifying glass. So let me take a look at it here, and yeah, got it. So that's the soldering part of it. Now, on the back side here, these prongs right here must have, again, some tension, you know, to scrape up against this. And you can see that on there's these little dimples. Can you get that, Chris? Mm-hmm. See that little dimple there? And what I do, and you got to be careful, but I roll this edge just a little bit. I've had this edge right here want to stick, rub up against and catch on that right there, okay? Especially maybe on the trunk switch more than this one here. So what I do is I take my side cutters gently and at the very end, just tweak it just a little bit. Just roll it back just a little bit. And that way I know that it's not going to catch on that plastic. Okay, so I've rolled those back, and these are clean in here. Now you can take a little wire brush or whatever, clean the terminals down in there, and then you can bring that together like that, okay? So that is that. Now we're going to put our insulator back on. Going to put our insulator back on. Going to get a little bit of this dielectric grease here. And I'm just going to put just a dab on this right here. Just enough to help it slide, okay? Just kind of working around a little bit. And so it gives it a little bit of lubrication. I'm going to put the spring on the contact button. Actually going to put this on there first. Again, oops, on there I got my spring down in that post, and we're going to gently slip that on there like that. Then I'm going to take my vice grips to hold it. Tighten them up a little more. So I'm going to hold it like that. I'm going to center my spring. This does not have to go on the bracket any certain way, okay? So I got my button, my spring, my insulator, and then my terminal here. And I'm going to set it down in there. You can see that it's got that little indentation there for the little things to hook over. I'm going to set that down in there just like that. Sometimes the spring wants to overlap a little bit, so you gotta work it just a little bit and shove it down in there or whatever. And that looks pretty good, okay? So I'm going to take my vice grips off, and I'm going to hold it like that. Now I got it down in there, and I got it flush all the way around, and I'm holding it, and I'm going to take my pliers here, and I'm going to gently fold these back over. Do one side, and then I cross to do the other side. Had that spring pop up just a little bit there. Sometimes you got to work that in there like that, go crosswise, and then over, okay? And then come around and do this. I'm going to take the switch back apart eventually, and do this side here. Again, making sure everything is flush down in there. And then once I get all four corners bent over a little bit, I come back, and I make sure that I've got them all pressed down again. So that is the restoration of the switch assembly. Again, both your trunk switch and your switch by your deck lid button, basically the same and come apart the same, but the very post is different. And of course, we got 2 terminals on one, and we got 4 terminals on the other. So I hope you've learned something here on that. Thank you for watching the video. And it's Corvette Power Top Service, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And just remember, I got the power, but it's these power tops is what I got. Okay, thank you. Have a great day.